up all those faces, it was 1,000 shades of white. Have you noticed that?
First of all, has there ever been a white person who has been the Secretary of Housing and Development?
Will Trump go after reporters and their corporate bosses?
I also think that it's clear that Donald Trump is at war with the fact-based media.
So President-elect Trump is 90% complete with his cabinet picks, which we're going to take a look at in this video. However, Jennifer Rubin from MSNBC had this to say about them. She called it 1,000 shades of white. So we're going to debunk her whole DEI approach to cabinet picks. CNN is now floating a new conspiracy saying that Trump is looking to lock up reporters and journalists. And then former President Bill Clinton had some interesting things to say about Trump and who he's chosen to be in his cabinet. All of these stories and more. But let's start with what Jennifer Rubin had to say about Trump's cabinet.
Because many of these people, including Tulsi Gabbard, have backgrounds that would never make them eligible for any government post, let alone for secretaries of these important government agencies. But I do think there are a couple things going on. First, I have to comment, when you put up all those faces, it was 1,000 shades of white. Have you noticed that? Remember,
I actually thought as I was reading them, we should certainly circle a few of them so that we can say this is the one I'm talking about now.
Yes, exactly. So here we have a little bit more diversity in the slide that you're showing. But the first one, which was the major characters, yes, it's 1,000 shades of white.
Okay, I have to pause it here because she just moves on as if she didn't just say those words. Now, I want you guys to think of this. If Trump had said something of the nature, 1,000 shades of color, they would be coming for him, right? But these individuals, they live by the motto, rules for you, but not for me, right? That's how they think and how they operate. But let's continue because she had more things to say. Watch.
Secondly, there is a certain level of dysfunction and catastrophe that will sink these people. What happens if there is a terrorist attack, God forbid? What happens when there is a pandemic? The problem with being extreme, irresponsible, ignorant is when bad stuff happens, there's no one to blame but you. So the good news is that these people may not get everything they want. The bad news is a lot of bad stuff may happen to a lot of innocent people because of them.
Okay, summary of what Jennifer Rubin is getting at, right? She is obsessed with identity politics. That's as simple as I can make it. Okay, and the reason why is because she's so focused on superficial characteristics over qualifications, right? We know why Trump is choosing these people. It's three things: loyalty, the person who's going to help him get the results that he promised for everyday Americans, and merit. He's not picking based on woke ideology, right? Okay, the constant focus on race by these left-leaning individuals distracts from the substance of these policy discussions and also what matters most in the end, which is, can you get results, right? So if you look at Joe Biden's cabinet, yes, it's a full rainbow of people, right? But did they do anything that was good for America? No, they didn't. That's why Kamala Harris was not elected. Okay, so let me just show you a quick snapshot of Trump's cabinet picks up to this point. Like I said, he's about 90% there. He still has 3 more to go. And we're talking about the department heads, right? That's what really matters right now because these are the positions that need to go through Senate confirmation hearings, okay? So in regards to her whole claim that it's 1,000 shades of white, she is so delusional, right? Let's think about diversity for a second. How many women are part of his cabinet? Well, let's see. And this is a shout out to Mark Cuban, by the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So he has 7 women on there, all right, out of 24. So we could probably call that, what, about 25%? And then he has a Cuban as the Secretary of State. He did appoint someone who is black, Scott Turner, okay? And there is a whole reaction to that, which I'm going to show you here shortly from MSNBC. And so, I mean, I could dive into each of these people and prove to you why they are so diverse. But this is the problem with that type of thinking. I don't care what the color of your skin is. I don't care what your gender is. Are you going to do the job that you were hired to do? Whether you are the person creating policies or you're just the person executing orders that are coming out of the White House, I don't care. Are you just going to execute the mandate that the American people has given the Trump administration? That's what matters here. And if these people end up doing that, then there's nothing to talk about. Okay, so I told you guys in another video how Al Sharpton accused Trump of not appointing people that were black to be in his cabinet. Now, obviously, that's already taken care of. He did that. Again, it's a waste of energy to even talk about it. But after he did appoint Scott Turner, here is what MSNBC had to say about it. Check this out.
People will not see it. I mean, there's a lot of picks that, again, we talked about in the beginning. Scott Turner, he is a motivational speaker, and he's going to lead the Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Ooh, black man leading HUD.
I mean, first of all, why does everybody, I mean, every single president, has there ever been a white person who has been the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development?
Not since the 1960s, I'm sure.
It's a rhetorical question, but yes, there has been. But I mean, but I'm just kind of like, okay, all right. So a lot of...
Not recently.
Well, I'm glad we have one here today on the list.
All right, so you guys just watched a clown show deliver some ignorant statements because I got the receipts for you guys, okay? They claimed it was the 70s since it was the last white person to serve as the Secretary of HUD. But what does history actually say? Well, let's take a look. So the current person who was appointed March 22nd of this year, Mrs. Todman, she's acting. She's not even actually nominated for it. Marcia Fudge from Ohio, she was the person that was actually confirmed for that position. She is a black woman, as you guys can see. Matt Amon, he was acting. Clearly, he's Caucasian. Ben Carson, right, under the first Trump administration, he was nominated. Now, before him, it was Julian Castro from Texas, nominated. Sean Donovan from New York, nominated. And then the next African-American is Alfonso Jackson, which was nominated by George Bush. And then before him, Mel Martinez. I mean, guys, I could keep going on and on and on, as you guys can see here. Majority of them are white. In fact, you'd think they'd be clapping their hands because it's just recently in the past decade that you've had multiple African Americans serving in that position. Okay, so before we get to what CNN had to say about Trump, the show has been on vacation, but we're still pumping out these videos for you because we want to keep you in the know and continue to push the truth. And that's why, if you're getting value from this video, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you want to support us further, go to the link in the description below, shop the merch store, or buy us a cup of coffee. Okay, so are you ready to hear CNN's new hoax and fear-mongering that they are trying to push out to their audience? Here it is.
Will Trump go after reporters and their corporate bosses with investigations, challenges to license renewals, and big mergers? Lulu, will Trump try to punish the media? I'm not talking about rhetorical stuff, about fake media. I'm talking about going after reporters. He talked about killing the act that would protect us from having to reveal our sources, going after corporate mergers, license renewals. Will he try to punish the media?
I mean, that's the fear. And it's the flip side of what we were talking about earlier with Trump's obsession with the media and owning the message. How do you own the message? Well, you have to also kind of destroy the other part of it, the fact-based media that might act as a counterweight to that. And so, you know, I think that the famous saying, we're not at war, we're at work, which Marty Barron said at the Washington Post during the first Trump administration, to talk about what the attitude of the fact-based media should be in the Trump administration, I think is something that they're adopting this time. I also think that it's clear that Donald Trump is at war with the fact-based media.
Okay, so let me tell you what's really happening here. The elites, right? The left-wing media, they're spinning fear-mongering stories, right? Why? Because they want to discredit Trump every step of the way. It doesn't matter that he won the election, okay? They are projecting their own insecurities and biases on him. Why would they spend all this time talking about something so extreme? Because they know they are guilty at the very thing that they should be condemned for, which is misinformation, lying, not telling the truth. But they accuse Trump of doing that, of course. That's why you've seen a mass exodus of these networks. Their subscribers, their audience ratings are in the tank because a lot of people feel that these networks lied to them. And of course they did. We know they were lying. We've been calling it out. Now, speaking of misinformation and not telling the truth, the social media manager who ran Kamala Harris's account on X, which was flagged for misinformation. She's speaking out, and there's some details that she exposes that it really answers the question why Kamala Harris never had a chance.
Hi everyone, my name is Lauren Kapp, and I ran the Kamala HQ TikTok. Let's get a few things out of the way. I've been seeing your comments. First up, we did have 2 Gen Z interns behind the account and 3 Gen Z staffers. I was the oldest on the account at the age of 25. It has been so much fun creating content for you guys on this platform and seeing all of the hope and joy. And while the election results didn't go our way, there is so much work that needs to be done. Now, I will be the first to admit that I felt incredibly numb after the election results came in. I will never forget waking up the next morning at 5 a.m. to a phone full of messages saying, "I'm sorry, Lauren." But as the vice president said during her concession speech, sometimes the fight takes a while, and that does not mean that we won't win. So now is the time to get even more involved, and we have to mobilize and organize and get ready not only for the 2026 midterms, but the 2028 cycle.
Okay, detail number 1. She's 25 years old running that account. No wonder it was flagged for misinformation every single day. These people were manipulating clips, as you guys know. We covered it so much. I mean, they came up with these wild conspiracies, and all they were really doing was manipulating the footage, right? Which was the very thing that they accused conservatives and MAGA of doing when Joe Biden froze on the stage with George Clooney and former President Obama, where they had to obviously walk him off the stage. But hey, we are the crazy ones, right? So just maybe it might be a good idea to not have someone who is woke, 25 years old, 0 life experience, running someone's campaign to be the next president. That's just me, though. Okay, so let's go to this next story. Former President Bill Clinton, right? He is claiming that Trump's cabinet picks are solely based on loyalty and accuses Trump of fostering a lack of confidence in the federal government, meaning it's Trump's fault on why voters don't trust the government. Clearly, we're going to debunk that here shortly, but let's hear it in his own words. Watch.
Can you believe who Donald Trump is picking to be in a second Trump administration?
Yeah. Well, you have to listen to Donald Trump. He's been very forthright about how he views the world. He's interested in people who are loyal to him 100% of the time, no matter what the issue, no matter what the facts, no matter who gets hurt. He wants people who just say yes and then get after it first. Second, he believes that his supporters have no confidence whatever in the federal government. And Lord knows he's done everything he could to destroy that confidence. And he believes he can just say, well, I appointed these people, they're smart, and they're going to shake things up. But I think that in demonizing all establishments and all people who wear a tie like you and me to work and have a good education, we are breaking down the legitimacy.
What he is saying that Trump is doing by demonizing all these establishments and breaking down people's legitimacy is exactly what they've been doing. They demonize Trump supporters. They've demonized the working class. They've demonized people who don't have a college degree. That was the problem with the entire messaging. They came off as if they're better than you and me, right? That's number one. Number two, this hasn't taken place because of Trump. This has happened because the media refuses to be neutral. They are clearly in the business of being more about activism and pushing propaganda and singing to the choir versus actually being controversial by telling the truth. Now, let me give you guys a real world example of people who supported Kamala Harris demonizing people who support Trump. Okay, so this story is about a Connecticut teacher who had to resign or was fired because she went off on people who supported Trump on her social media, and she became totally unhinged. Why don't you watch it for yourself?
If you voted for Trump, literally, please delete me, block me, get rid of everything of me, or step to me so that I know what's up and then I can handle you how I see fit. Just because you won doesn't mean we don't remember who the blank you voted for. You're not in the clear. Please, please don't test your gangster on me because you will end on a stretcher, gone forever. What does that mean exactly?
Yeah, so
it
that
sounds like a threat.
It sounds very extreme. And again, I was in a moment of high emotions and I shouldn't have ever posted the video.
Just because you won doesn't mean we don't remember who the you voted for. You're not in the clear. And just please, please don't test your gangster on me because you will end on a stretcher, gone forever.
And now you know that putting stuff on social media isn't the way to get
Absolutely
to
not.
elicit change.
Right.
Would you ever consider perhaps running for office or getting involved in something that would perhaps lead to change?
Yes, I think that, you know, that was my initial thought of how I could make a change and how I could share my views, and clearly that is not the right way to go about it.
Annie Dunleavy, we wish you the very best of luck, and thanks for sitting down with us.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Again, when we talk about demonizing, that's a great example right there, okay? Guys, this is not over. This is continuing to happen today. I mean, you got people like Joy Reid claiming you shouldn't even be around people who voted for Trump during the holidays. It doesn't matter if they're your family members or not, right? So this isn't going anywhere. We know people are still going to be dealing with some type of mental breakdown because of the election result. And I think one of the individuals that is definitely dealing with that right now is the actual candidate herself, Kamala Harris. Because what's interesting is, where is she, right? Here's the press corps pressing the White House on that issue. We haven't seen her. Here's what they had to say about it.
The vice president has taken time off to go spend time with her family. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think she deserves some time to be with her family and to have some downtime. She has worked very hard over the last 4 years, and her taking a couple of days to be with her family, good for her. Good for her. Thanks, everybody.
A couple of days is what they're claiming. Got it. That's very interesting. Well, we know what's happening. I mean, she has to be emotionally finished at this point. Okay, anybody would be. And guys, you know what this feels like, right? When you worked at a job or a career and you're leaving that job or that career, you know, that last month or so is different, right? You just feel different. You really don't want to be a part of anything. You're ready to just get this over with and move on. But again, KJP, she has to lie all the way until the very end. We know this. So let me kick it back over to you guys, right? So Jennifer Rubin's comments that Trump's cabinet picks are 1,000 shades of white. What is your reaction to that? Share that in the comment section below. What about this new hoax from CNN that Trump wants to lock up journalists and reporters and that he's at war with the fact-based media? Now, can I issue just a correction here? What it really should be is he's at war with the fake news media. That's just me, right? But let me know what you think about that in the comment section. And also what former President Bill Clinton had to say, which I thought was very rich. What is your message to him? Put that in the comment section, and any other thoughts that you may have about today's video. Now, earlier today, we posted a video showing you how Joe Rogan trolled The View, particularly Joe Behar, because she's pushing the idea that Joe Rogan believes that dragons exist or did exist. And of course, Joe Rogan fires back at her in a very funny way, which you will be entertained by. If you guys want to check that video out, all you have to do is click on it because it's coming up right now.